Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome. Good to see everybody here. We just wanted to jump on video real quick before we get started. We've probably got 3 or 4 minutes before we really dive in deep. So we just wanted to jump in here, say hey. Hope everybody's getting ready. Are you excited?
I'm ready.
I'm excited. We've got about 3 minutes until we're going to get started, but we want to make sure everyone can see and hear us. So if you can see and hear us, just go in there in the little chat box and just write.
Give us a how you doing?
Yeah, what's up, man? How's it going? Love to hear from you. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
I'm ready to get started. So we're going to turn the camera off. So this is all that you get to see of this. So we're going to get started, and we'll start talking a little bit about 5 steps to get your employees to
do their jobs.
Seems like a big one. Yeah, seems like a big one. So, all right. So let's jump in here, guys. Okay. All right, man. Who's ready? I'm ready. We're going to give it just a minute here. There's still people jumping on here. Let's see. We've got Michael, Tracy, Caleb, Stephanie, Sabrina, Brandy, Robert. What's up? I won't go through the whole list, but good to see everybody on here. I hope everybody's ready. It says on here, just make sure you have something to take notes with. While we get started, there's a lot of good information that we're going to be bringing to you today, and we just want to make sure that you're taking notes and that you're ready to learn and ready to get started.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. I'm pumped. I always love doing this, right? It's always fun to jump on and it's fun to do it live. It's fun to do it virtual. It allows a lot of flexibility to be able to just chat with people and talk about business and give them a little bit of direction. So, being that you're the rule structure person, why don't you help us with this? So how do we get the most out of our time together?
Well, we're going to be going over a lot of information in the limited amount of time that we have together today. So definitely you're going to want to take notes. So make sure you have a notebook or some paper to jot down on, preferably not the back of a junk envelope. So make sure you're taking notes throughout, be active, ask questions throughout, and just be present. Be present in the time that we have together.
So, and again, turn off your social media, shut your door, just be present with us. Because here's the deal, guys. You've done what 80% of people don't do. You showed up. Like, that's the hardest part, is showing up. Now what we need is just your attention and to be open-minded and to take notes and to be really ready to just learn with us today. So, speaking of being present, should we give him a gift?
I think we should give him a gift.
We should give him a gift. So here's the deal. Staying through the end of the webinar, we have a free gift for everyone. Now,
sounds like an ethical bribe to me.
100%. It is an ethical bribe, but there's a purpose behind it, right? So the strategies that we're going to talk about today, we not only do we coach and teach it, we've done it, we've used it, and it will change your life and your business. And I know that's a huge statement to make, but it will, right? And it's not, you're gonna leave this and you're going to be able to implement immediately some of the things that we've talked about in this class today. So the ethical bribe is simply because, as humans and as business owners, I care for you and I know what it's like to struggle and I want to be able to help. So that's why we're going to give an ethical bribe, but I'm not going to tell you what the gift is until the end.
That's right.
So
little suspense.
Make you really stick around a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about, I know you guys are on here, and some of you guys we've done some coaching with, some of you guys we've been to your office, we've done training, but for those of you that are new to us, Gulf Coast Coaching, let's talk about who we are.
Yeah.
Who are we?
Who are we?
It's a big question, right? So we are entrepreneurs. We are a married entrepreneur couple, which means we're business partners, which adds a whole nother element to business that
and marriage
that can add struggles and opportunities and whatever else you want to call them. But more importantly, now we get to coach. Coach and train, and that is what we're passionate about doing. And so that's why we're here today, right? We're here to share some things that have absolutely changed our business.
Yeah, and our lives.
In our lives. So we've owned several businesses, probably 10 to 12 businesses that we've bought, sold, exit strategy over the past 20 years. And so we have a unique ability of seeing businesses in kind of a different way. So a lot of times when we meet people, right, and they go, oh, okay, successful business owners that now have a little bit of freedom, what do you do with it, right? So we like to share some of this, right? Let's talk about some cool stuff. People usually want to know like the cool details of what it is that we've had the opportunity to do. So kind of put this slide together just briefly. Bottom left is my beautiful family. There's my wife to the left and our 2 kids. We had the opportunity a couple of years ago to get in an RV and go across the country. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people that get to do that. And as we were traveling, we got to meet a lot of people that said, oh yeah, I wish we could just take our kids out of school. And we did. Yeah. We had a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, and we took them out of school and we traveled across the country. And we got to speak and train and coach all across the country. So this picture is simply, we were put in the California, I believe, the California.
Yep, that was our celebration of putting the California sticker on the side of the RV. Yeah,
so we went from Florida to California to New York and back. Yeah. It was about a 5-month trip, man, and it was really, really amazing. So in here too, part of what we got to do when we traveled, I don't know if you recognize the gentleman in the middle. His name is Larry Wingett. If you don't know who this guy is, you should look him up.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. Very interesting fella.
What was he call himself? The unmotivational speaker?
I think so, yeah.
I think he like one of his books is Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life. Yeah. Like, love this guy. Mm-hmm. And we did. We got to speak and present with him, and he is a world-renowned speaker and presenter, and he is just a crazy, awesome guy. Then over to the right, you get to see us with the Queen and her family.
Well, sort of.
So as close as we're going to get at this point. So that was actually taken in a wax museum in DC during our road trip. So, you know, for us, it's fun to look back at those times, but it's also fun to really look at our journey as a whole, right? And as a whole, we started young. We met. We were you were in high school. I was just out of high school. Yeah. And when we met, we kind of made this right. We fell in love. That's how that works. And then these are 3 pictures that kind of represent a snapshot of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that first one on the left is when we first met, young and excited, and just excited about life in general.
So I'm going to say this real quick. Okay. That was after about 6 times of you telling me you would not go out. I
turned you down a few times. Yeah. So. That was, I don't know, 20 something years ago. Ish. And then there in the middle, we were still very young adults. We purchased our first home. So at a young age, we were, I'd say, risk takers. We kind of took big leaps for people our age. And then that last picture is a more recent picture, and it's just kind of represents us being able to reap the rewards of all of the hard work and risks, some that went well and some that maybe didn't.
And I would say right work. I think that was the big transition for us, was not just doing the work and working hard. There's a lot of people that work hard. It was more about doing the right work. And we joke about the lines in between is really the life that we lived in between all of that. Mm-hmm. So has it always been that way though, right? Have we always been successful?
Well, I mean, we certainly had our fair share of ups and downs for sure. It has not always been easy. We spent a lot of time struggling in our businesses. We spent a lot of time with our businesses running us, where we didn't have a lot of time to do anything. We were working all the time. We were struggling over cash flow. It certainly puts a strain on the marriage when you're working together and married to each other. And so we were at a point in our business career that we knew that we needed help, but we had no idea what help looked like, let alone even where to find it. So that was a pretty big struggle that we incurred during our journey, I guess you could say.
Right. And being a married couple and having a young family at the time, it was all consuming. And there were so many times, honestly, that we wanted to give up. Mm-hmm. And for business owners, a lot of times it's sometimes, you know, the entrepreneurial train is like, it's real high highs and real low lows. And really the goal is to find the middle spot that works. So so a lot of times people will ask us, right? So how did we do that, right?
Yeah.
Do we have superpowers?
Arguably, yes.
I would say you.
Well, okay, so let's define what a superpower is first. So to me, a superpower is not only something that you're really good at, something that you is your strength, but also combine it with something that you're passionate about. So if you combine something that you're very strong at with something that you're very passionate about, it morphs into a superpower. I think that there's times when you can be really good at something, but if you don't really like it, you don't really enjoy it, I don't think that qualifies as a superpower. Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you. And it's one of those things where I know the more you follow your passion, the more it shows out to the rest of the world. And I think that's a really important thing. So let's talk about this. Kristen, what is your superpower?
My superpower is the systematizing of the business so that you can get those consistent and predictable results that you're wanting from your business. I love the internal operations of the business. And unfortunately, a lot of times that's parts of the business that get overlooked. We get excited about sales. We get excited about collecting money. We get excited about some of those outward things that are happening in our business. And we tend to overlook some of the really crucial support systems that we need kind of behind the scenes in order to make everything run the way we want it to.
Right. And as entrepreneurs, that part of the business is not the norm for us. Like we typically want to go fast, right? Which is cool. So to kind of piggyback that, for me, my passion goes into the leadership side of the business, right? I love to work with leaders in the business, and I love to help them become leaders that they truly want to become, right? Nobody wants to be a bad leader. Just like, believe it or not, guys, employees don't want to be bad employees. It's just, you don't know what you don't know, and you do what's comfortable. So I like to go into businesses and help leaders really dial in with their team and help them grow so that they can develop the team that they want to have.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that we discovered very early on is that we have a different set. Justin and I both have a different set of strengths and weaknesses, and we are lucky enough that they complement each other. So the things that I don't do well at, he's very good at and can pick up basically my slack, and vice versa. So it kind of helps us work good together when the other person can cover the holes that you can't fill. So
let's talk about this. So how does our success help you, right? So we've babbled on about ourselves for the last couple of minutes, but so what? Who cares, as they say, right? How does that help you? So I love this question, and I always love giving the answer. So because we're coaches, we get to be around a lot of other coaches, and there's really good coaches and trainers out there. Here's typically where I land about our competitive advantage. Think about when you go and you want to book a vacation. You have the option. You can go to a travel agent or you can go to a tour guide. What's the difference? Well, travel agent's probably sitting behind a desk, never been to whatever destination you're going, and is describing to you this pamphlet that they read, that someone sent them.
Right.
A tour guide is the person who's been there, knows everything about it, can tell you everything about the land, and can resonate with you on the feeling of what's going on there.
It really brings the vacation to life at that point.
Oh my gosh.
The difference between the tour guide and the travel agent, that, I mean, never have I ever been on a tour that was guided by a person that you can always tell that they enjoy it. They are so passionate about the information that they're giving you during that tour guide, and you can see it and feel it during the whole thing, and it makes it a unique experience.
Well, and again, for coaches and trainers, I think that's what makes us so passionate about it, is that we've walked in your shoes. We know what it's like. We felt the pain. We felt the relief. We felt all of that and everything in between. And like on the picture showed earlier, the dashes in between each of those pictures of the life that we live. Mm-hmm. And so that's a pretty cool thing. So we ready to begin? Are we ready to start diving in to a little bit about how we can help you Do it. So before we get started, again, how to get the most out of this, take notes. We'll try to do the best we can to remind you to get notes. We get in a hurry. We get excited. There's a lot of content to cover in a short period of time. So we will try our very best to let you know.
Yeah. And you're definitely in the right place if you are changed to your business, or if you're looking to grow your business, or even if you're ready to finally have your business work for you instead of you working for it so hard. And if you started your business for freedom and now you work more than ever. So I recently saw a meme, I actually shared it in our group not too long ago, where it said, an entrepreneur is willing to work 80 hours a week to avoid a 40-hour-a-week job. And
how true.
Yeah, definitely.
It's that, oh, I don't want a job. Well, guess what? You've got 2 of them,
yeah.
Sometimes 4. And for what? For typically not the payment that you would get for just working for somebody else. But here's the thing, is being an entrepreneur, I get it. I'm there with you. I would rather have it on my own terms than someone else. And money is not typically the thing that goes in the front. So
yeah, so there's a lot of common comments, questions, exclamations, I guess you could say, amongst business owners that we hear often. Things like, no one wants to work these days, and why do my employees think that they're entitled to everything? Every day is like Groundhog Day. I tell my employees the same things over and over and over again. How am I supposed to work on my business if I'm so busy in it? And my personal favorite, which I fell victim to for, I'd say, a couple of years in our early business life, was, it's easier if I just do it myself. That was a big one. It was easier if I just did it myself than it would be to train somebody else to do it and perhaps risk that they not do it right. Payroll was the biggest one for me. I was terrified to train somebody else to do payroll because that was a huge, that's a huge part of the business. And if you screw it up, you got a bunch of unhappy employees on your hands. So
yeah, people normally aren't all that excited about the fact that there's no money in their account,
in their check on, or in their account on Friday,
after showing up to work all week, because that is part of our obligation. All right. So what is our goal for today? Okay. So our goal is to help give you clarity and framework on how implementing what you learned today. Right. So we want to give you some tools to put in your toolbox, and then we want you to be able to implement it. Right. We want to share with you some strategies that helped us along the way. These are steps that we have used in our business to create freedom in self-managing businesses, right? And our time together is about you. So if you have a question, type it in the chat box. If you want to know, I don't know, if you have a question, type it in the chat box. Just let us know. Be present. Be ready.
Yeah, we're keeping an eye on that chat box. So we'll try to catch it as soon as we see it when it comes across.
We will try.
So let me ask you a question. What would it feel like to have the confidence that your business was run your way, even when you weren't there? How many times I've talked to business owners who have said something to the effect of, they just don't see it the way I see it, or they just don't do it the way I do it. And to have the confidence to know that your business was being run your way, even when you're not there, is priceless.
I know that 10 years ago, had somebody said to us, what would it look like or feel like to own this business and it not own you? I probably would have said it's not possible. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm glad I got out of my own ways and focused on that, but that's true. So if you did have that confidence and you were able to live your life and not be a slave to your company, you'd have more time. Mm-hmm. And if you had more time, here's the question, what would you do with it? Right? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you exercise more? Volunteer for local charity, more vacations, beach time, do nothing? I don't know, golf? Maybe pick up a new hobby. Maybe, I don't know, watch TV.
Yeah, Netflix.
Most successful people, I don't. Yeah, binge watch. So let's go down this road for just a second. Let's pretend you had more time on your hands, right? So you have more time on your hands, and let's say we're going to go on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Let's go.
I'm excited. Let's go. We just talked about the tour guide and the travel agent, and now I'm ready to book something. So what's some questions that we want to know? Well, we want to know where are we going, who all's going, how do we get there, how long will we be there, what do we want to do while we're there, and how much will it cost?
What are we going to bring?
What are we going to bring?
Who's going to go with us? There's so many things that go into planning a vacation. And you know, why do we plan that vacation? Where the result of all that planning is everybody having a great time while you're on vacation. As you can see,
everybody like, woo!
Yay, a picture of everybody having a great time on vacation.
These family hanging out. What's up?
So, but why? Why do we spend that much time and energy to plan our vacations?
So I think that there's a couple of answers to that. One, I think that it's, as entrepreneurs, it kind of gets to be lonely, right? So it's sometimes difficult to go to people and be able to get them to talk about, hey, man, I'm having trouble with my business, man. How do I, whatever, right? I'm having this struggle, right? But a vacation, you can go to anybody and talk about that, and they'll tell you, well, you got to know where you're going, what you're doing. And here's the deal. People put more time and energy and thought into vacation than their business planning. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. But what a profound thought. You know, you put a lot of time and energy into your vacations because you're operating on a limited amount of time. You only have a few days to pack as much fun into it as you possibly can, and you're spending money on it. So you want to make sure that you're getting the absolute best bang for your buck that you can. But why in the world don't we do the same thing for our business planning? The thing that's supposed to be our livelihood and that's supposed to support the fact that we can go on vacation in the first place.
Yeah. Again, this is a bold statement, and I do want to repeat it, that people spend more time, energy, and thought into their vacations than planning their business. So we are in and out of a lot of businesses, and I have certainly been guilty of doing this too. We'll buy a business, sell a business, grow a business, take on this huge new account that changes with no thought or effort into how in the heck are we going to support that thing, right? So let's talk about, so how can you kind of reel that back in? Like, how can you get that dialed back in?
Well, the first step to any large project or anything that you're about to do in your business is to really take a good, long, hard look at your vision.
Yeah.
I mean, the vision is a very crucial part of your business, and it might not seem to necessarily fit into what we're talking about today, but I promise it's that first step that you need to take in order to really get clear on the direction that you're going. So let's first talk about what a vision is. I know that you've probably heard that word tossed around a lot. And so let's take just a moment and talk about what exactly a vision is. So basically, it's the snapshot of what you want your life and your business to look like in the future. Kind of like a selfie, like a business selfie.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how cool would it be to take a selfie of you and your business in 5 years? And the truth is, that's what the vision is. It's just that, it's that quick glimpse of what does it look like, right? And I love that. And I think it is one of the most fundamental things that most business owners miss, and it is the most important to keep everything on track.
Yeah, and there's two kind of versions, I guess you could say, of a vision. You want your vision to support your personal and your professional goals. It's really important to hold that personal part in there, and a lot of times I think that gets left out. Ultimately, your business needs to serve you and what you want. So you need to make sure that you're building your vision so that it can support what you want personally and professionally.
And what happens, right? So we all have that entrepreneurial seizure, which is how most of us get started, is we're good at doing that one widget or that one technical task, and we go, this other guy can do it. He's not that smart. I can go do it. A lot of times the piece that's missing is it has to be to support your life. Nobody goes into a business going, man, I can't wait to work 100 hours a week, right? So here's a good slide. I love this slide. And the truth is, as a young entrepreneur, when I was probably 19 or 20, this was really what my vision board looked like, right?
I don't even know what half that stuff on there is.
So you're saying you didn't pay attention to my vision board, but right. So it's like this massive house and private jet and yacht and all these other things. But then as time kind of goes on and life shifts a little bit, what ends up happening is you realize that that's a big mountain to climb. And then you got to keep climbing to get it up. And the more we got dialed in with a family, with our family and growing, really what became important to us was freedom.
Yeah. So that first slide represented like a financial freedom, which is kind of like a surface level desire. But really, when you dig down deep and you look at it, a lot of times it's not that surface level. You're looking for more time and freedom, or more freedom and time. Maybe you're looking to travel a little bit or spend some quality time with family members, and really get a little bit more out of life than what you were getting before you started your job or before you started your business.
Well, before you started your job,
yeah.
is a lot of times what it is. So let's talk about this. So some questions you answer with a vision statement. So what are some of those questions?
Well, some of the questions that you're going to answer are things like, what are we doing exactly? Why are we doing it? For whom are we doing this for? And WIIFM,
everybody's favorite channel,
radio station. There it is.
That's right.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me?
Yeah.
Trust me, you guys should be listening to that station, and believe me, and you will know this when I say it, your employees listen to it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
That is their favorite hit station. And that's okay. I mean, that's fine. But you still want to be able to match your why and their why.
That's right. Yeah. Your vision it represents your destination, where you're going, what direction the boat or the bus is traveling in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's way easier to have a boat where everybody's paddling in the same direction. You got a boat paddling one direction and one guy or girl is paddling the other direction. It just creates drag. It creates not a great work environment. I love that pirate island.
I know, it's
pretty
treasure
cool.
map.
So this is like probably one of my favorite quotes, and I use it very often, which is, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there.
That's 100% true. That Cheshire Cat, pretty smart.
Yeah, he is pretty smart.
So not having a vision in your company is very similar to attempting to put together a puzzle with no picture. You've got all these pieces. Oh my gosh, how difficult would it be to put together a puzzle when you have no idea even what the picture is going to look like at the end?
I can tell you, no go.
And I like doing puzzles, but not one without a picture.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem very fun. But when you've got the box and you've got the picture, it can be more enjoyable to put that puzzle together because you know what it's supposed to look like when it's done.
Yeah, certainly. Now you go, oh, okay, well, here's blue goes over here and maybe a little pink over here and a little orange over there. So yeah, it makes it different. So let's dive in a little bit deep. So this slide here, if you haven't taken any notes yet, make sure on these you write your notes. This is a very, very important slide.
Yeah, this is a writer downer. So when you're creating your vision, there's a handful of things that you need to think about and even address in your vision. So first off is, what products or services are you going to sell? It might be different than what you're currently selling today. You might have dreams to expand or sell additional products or services than what you're selling today. So what are you going to be selling in that future picture of your business? Where will you be selling them from? Will you have a store? Will you sell them out of your home? Will you sell them online? Will you go to, markets or conventions or whatever? Where are you going to be selling from? Who will you be selling to? At that point, you're going to want to be really clear on who your ideal customer is and who is going to be that person that just cannot live without your product or service.
And they are out there.
They are definitely out there.
Just got to find them.
You're also going to want to make sure that you think about what your sales and your net profit is going to be. Yes, that's important to think about sales numbers and think about what you want your profits to be. Even early on, you want to have some of those goals set out. Another one that's really important is, what role are you going to play in the business? Are you going to be in it day to day? Do you want to not be in it day to day and somebody else can run it? Do you want to be the general manager, or do you want to maybe do the marketing and somebody else can run the operations of the business? But you really need to think about and plan out what is it that you are going to be doing in the business. And what will your company culture be like? we don't think about that necessarily until it's an issue.
Right. Until it hits you in the face and you go, wait a minute.
Who are these people and who hired them? Wait, it was me?
Right. Wait a minute. I hired them. Well, who trained them? No one. What are they doing? We don't know. So no, that 100% culture is what drives a business. And it could be just to give an example of what culture could look like. It could be not just negative or positive, but it could be, is it a sales culture? Is it a result culture? Is it a customer facing culture? I mean, there's all these different types of culture. So let's see here. What products or service will you sell? Where will you sell them? Who will you sell them to, which is your avatar? What will your sales and net profit be? So that's a big one, I think.
Yeah, and that's worth a whole nother.
Each of these are, but again, we're, right. So what role will you play in the business? Because here's the deal. If you want to be the technician, that's fine. You can be the technician, but someone has to run the business.
Right.
Period.
Right. Yeah. And so your completed vision is that picture of your final result. So in this case, pretend you're building a house. Your vision is what you picture that house to look like when it's done. What color is the front door? Do you have a wraparound front porch? Do you have a 2-car garage or a 3-car garage? What does it look like?
Yeah. Can you imagine if someone just pulled up to the front of your lot, dropped a whole bunch of lumber, shingles, nails, screws, decking, and you said, build me a house? Mm-hmm. I don't know how that would work out.
You may not get what you're intending.
I'm gonna guess with 100% certainty you're not going to get what it is your end result is. And the truth is here's the deal, guys. To unlock this, every single person has a vision, but it's in their head. Mm-hmm. And once you get it on paper, it becomes your accountability tool. So now you've got it written down. So now you get this opportunity to sell this other product or open this second location or buy this business. Now what do you have to do?
You have to check your vision.
Check in with yourself.
Does it align with where you want your life and your business to go? Does it get you one step closer to that? If it does, great. If it doesn't, is it worth changing the vision for? Or is it a situation where you say thank you, but no thank you to the opportunity? The other thing that's wonderful about the vision is you can share it. You share it with your employees. Mm-hmm. You can even share parts of it with your customers and let them buy into and really have the opportunity to get on the bus and be fired up about where you're wanting to take your business, and then they can help you get there. Customers
like to do business with people. Mm-hmm. They like to do business with people. So if they know your purpose, I mean, think about the companies out there, the Tom shoes. There's one about socks and one about glasses. And it's all about because this kind of goes back to the millennial generation, buy one, give one. Mm-hmm. Those shoes look like garbage. And I apologize if anybody owns any, I don't, but they're not great looking shoes. They're super expensive, but they're completely popular. Why? There's a purpose behind it, right? They see the vision for what that company is. So people like that, man. They dig it.
All right. So let's move on to our step number 2, which is a team member map.
So real quick before we go to that, I want to make sure, and I know we said it at the beginning, I hope that everyone on the line wrote down the notes that we talked about in the earlier slide. So make sure you write them down. So sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So step 2 of our 5 steps here is going to be the team member map. So typically when we start talking about a team member map, there's a few questions that surround that, which are things like, what is it? Why do we call it that? Does my company need one? And why is it important? So let's go ahead and start with the first question, which is, what is it? What is a team member map? So a team member map is a visual representation of the team that you need to drive your company to accomplish your vision. It's that support system of human beings and positions that you need to keep your business moving forward and get you where you want to go. So one of the things that I hear a lot of times is, well, geez, it sounds like an organizational chart. Okay, yeah, it does kind of sound like an organizational chart. But here's the deal. We like to call it a team member map because to me, organizational chart feels very corporate.
Well, nobody goes out to try out for the football organization. Right? Nobody goes to play baseball for that organization. It's team, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's about the team. It's about the people on the team. So yeah. So we like to call it a team member map. It's got a little bit more of a warm and fuzzy feeling. Okay, so why is it important? So a team member map
is important because it allows your team members to see their position relative to the rest of the company, kind of see where it is that they fall within the rest of the company. It shows them growth opportunities. So maybe they entered the company in an entry-level position, but they know they don't want to be there forever. They can very easily look at that team member map and say, ooh, I want that position in the next year. And it's something that they can work towards because they know that where there's room to grow. It also shows the hierarchy of who is leading which departments, which hierarchy is kind of it can be a touchy subject, but it's really important in the company because one, everybody can't be a leader. You can't have too many chefs in the kitchen or cooks in the kitchen. Yeah. But you do have to have leaders. You do have to have people that are gonna lead that team and help everybody do the best they can. So the team member map is going to show that hierarchy of basically who's in charge. So
this is a benefit that I always saw in our companies that we've owned, and we've always, obviously, as we teach it, we also do it. We always have team member maps in every business that we own. And the reason is we don't want people that want a job. And that's a lot of the problems right now with companies is they're going out looking for people that want a job. And when you give them a layout, even if your company's 3 people, but you have this amazing organization that has 12 people in 3 departments, and it gets them excited to be a part of that, right? And now they see growth opportunities. So now it's not, hey, what do? I got this job at so-and-so. It's, man, I'm working for this company. It's growing, and I've got all this growth opportunity. A lot of small companies we'll talk to superstars that'll want to leave that company, and they'll say things like, well, I'm going to leave because there's no growth opportunity. Well, I can't replace the boss. Well, the truth is sometimes you can, right? Like in our companies, somebody replaced me and I moved on to something else. So, or
if they're not privy to the information that there's growth there, we really encourage our business owners to post their team member map
100%
in their offices, post it in wherever it is that they're working, so that it's something that any employee could go look at any point and see, where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm a huge believer, and I love doing that simply because it helps people get fired up about where they work.
So there's a couple different sections, I guess you could say, to a team member map. The first section is going to be the internal workings. So these are going to be your internal departments, things like marketing, sales, customer service, accounting, maybe the technicians or the people who are creating the widget or providing the service. You're going to have your managers, your key employees. There might be other categories within your organization that aren't listed here, or some of these might not apply to your business. Again, everybody is different, but your internal map is going to just lay out all of the positions that are needed inside the company.
Well, let me ask you this. So to your question, you said these wouldn't apply. I think that applies to every business, don't you think? I mean,
well. Yeah.
You got every company has marketing.
Okay, so you might call them something different.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You may call them something different, but that's literally the 6 fundamental parts to almost every business. I mean, marketing, sales, customer service, accounting, technicians, yeah.
And you might not be the size that you need all those positions yet either.
Right.
Or one person might be wearing the hat of 2 or 3 of those different categories too. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're designing your map.
So a lot of times we go into businesses to do this exercise for the very first time. Normally when we get in there and we start dissecting what the organizational strategy is going to look like and the team member map development, it ends up being
linear,
right? It's like, what box? Owner. And at that point you go, wait a minute, you have 9 employees. Yeah, but they just do this one thing. Like, now you have a paid audience. Let them do their job. They came to work. They want to work. Like, they want to be good at what they do. So,
there's a section of the team member map that I like to encourage business owners to do that is a little bit outside of the traditional organizational chart box, and well, literally and figuratively. This is the external support system that you're going to need, external influences that you need for your company in order to get you to your vision. So that's going to be things like coaches, You need a really good attorney and you need a really good CPA. Those are like hands down super important. A lot of people choose to use a payroll company or a PEO company in order to protect themselves from themselves in terms of payroll taxes and all the things that you have to know around payroll. You can be part of mastermind groups and networking groups. So there is a whole external structure of people and organizations to put in place to help you grow. Yeah,
and you've got to have them. All of the above you have to have.
Mm-hmm. So we did include a couple of pictures of what your traditional team member map looks like. This first one is definitely a traditional, or peach colors are going to be the leaders, and the gray ones underneath are going to be the employees that are supporting
technicians,
customer service people, whatever, the entry level positions, more or less. And then we also wanted to share with you a couple of more creative and or more detailed examples. So they don't all have to look exactly the same.
Nope.
The idea is for it to fit you and your personality and your business and your vision. So the one here on the left has little icon pictures of the people who are actually filling the positions, which is kind of cool. And then that one on the right is round, and it totally looks different than any team member map that you've probably ever seen. However,
it's so cool.
It's really cool because each color is a different department.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that there's a lot of people or positions in that company, but the team member map isn't taking up 5 feet of your wall space because it's a better use of space.
Yeah.
So that was, I thought, a very interesting and creative way to illustrate what a team member map could look like.
Well, and again, there's not one right way to design it. You just need it. Right. So absolutely let it fit your personality. Be fun with it. It's a fun thing to do.
It is. Okay, so we're coming up on another writer downer.
So writer downer.
This is going to be a good opportunity to take some notes. So some of the things that you need to consider when you're making your team member map. What departments are you going to need? And when you think about what departments you're going to need, think about the departments that you'll need once you're at your vision, not necessarily today. So maybe today you don't need a full-time marketing person, but when you get to your vision in a couple of years, the one that you've documented in step 1, you're going to need a whole marketing department. Cool. Include those positions in your team member map now, but just know that they're kind of earmarked to be used in the future.
Well, and somebody's going to be doing it. So even if it's an external, you can kind of just mark that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's external? Because truth is sometimes you're going to be in more than one box.
Yeah, so you're going to design it to fit the company that you are describing in your vision. So what departments are you going to need? Sales, marketing, accounting, earlier. How many people will you need in each department? For currently, you should be able to come up with that number relatively easily. It might be difficult to really pinpoint exactly how many people you're going to need in a couple of years, but just do the best you can.
Yeah.
How many managers or key employees will there be? What will your position be on the map? Where are you going to be on the map? Are you going to be at the top? Are you going to be somewhere in the middle? Are you going to be off of it completely?
I vote for off of it. But everybody has a different vision, right?
Yeah.
So again, it's about what you want and how you want it done. And let me say this about vision though, as you're doing your team member map, and again, it starts with vision. And what I would tell you to do is most of the time when we do a vision exercise with business owners, they're not aggressive about it. Mm-hmm. And I think that in order to really be true to yourself and push yourself, get outside your comfort zone. When you write what you want your company to look like in 5 years, double it. And then write it around that, right? Write it around what it would look like if whatever your vision was, it doubled.
Yeah. Yeah, so once you're done with your team member map, you have it all laid out. It's basically your blueprint. It is that design of how you're going to get to your vision. And the people in a position are one of the most crucial and important parts of the business. You can't do it without the people.
Absolutely. I think that there should be a place on a P&L statement for people.
Yeah, it's a intangible asset for sure.
It is definitely an intangible, but the truth is you can't do it without them, right? You just can't do it without them. And you want them to feel, I'm going to say the love.
Part of the team.
So speaking of team, so we'll jump in here to step 3. So let's talk about it. Okay.
So the next step is going to be your team member commitment. Sounds very similar to a team member map. However, it is actually a very different document. So some of the things that are surrounding the team member map, the questions that surround, or the team member commitment, excuse me. What is it? Why is it important? Does my company need one? And why do we call it that? You know, you've probably noticed that we have some creative naming. We like to keep it interesting.
Yes.
So first off, what is the team member commitment? The team member commitment serves as the what and when for each position on your team. It documents out what you want done and when you want it done for everybody to be really clear on what they're supposed to do. So you might say, well, that sounds like a job description. And to that, I would say, kind of.
Except who wants a job?
Right. Well,
again, it's like who wants to work for an organization? Nobody. Like, it's a team member commitment. It's them putting a commitment not only to themselves, but the team that they're working with to do a specific job and task.
Yeah, I like to think of the team member commitment as an upgraded version, kind of like a maybe job description 2.0.
Yeah.
We want the goal of it. We want it to be motivating for the team member. I have never read a job description that I was motivated by ever, period.
That's a fact.
We want the employee to know why their position is important. And we want to give them the opportunity to commit. So why is that team member commitment so important? It shows those team members how their position fits in with the rest of the company and basically how their actions affect, positively or negatively, really, other people and other positions in the company. It gives the team member the opportunity to know what a job well done looks like. It definitely sets those clear expectations of what we want them to do on a daily, weekly, monthly time frame. And it encourages, again, that team member to commit to the position, commit to your vision, commit to the rest of the team. So it's not just okay, I'm going to do this job and then I'm going to go home. You're part of a team now, and we want you to commit to it.
And it becomes an easier way so what happens is you can tell someone to do something all you want, but when they commit to something, they're owning it. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where once they get to the point where they can't commit to that any longer, they'll let you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's a pretty magical thing when it's time to let somebody off the bus and they realize it because they're looking at their team member commitment. They know what it is and they know that they're not upholding their end of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we've got another writer downer here.
Writer downer. Let's writer downer.
Got some hot pens. Okay, so when you are doing your team member commitment, there's a few things that you do need to make sure that you include on it, and this is going to be what sets it apart from a job description. So you'd absolutely want the name of the position that you're writing your team member commitment for. You also want to know which positions this position reports to, i.e., basically what position is their superior or boss. Mm-hmm. And you also want to notate whether or not anybody reports to this position. So is this the manager and they have people who are reporting to them? So those are 3 important things right there off the bat. And then you also want to be able to state the overall objective of the position. So kind of like on a resume where you have your objective statement at the mm-hmm. top, you're going to do something similar to that on the team member commitment, and that is going to be a place for you to, partially for you to motivate the employee.
Can we give an example?
Yes, if you have one.
I can make one up. So let's say customer service, right? You got customer service agent who answers the phone and they're the first person to communicate with your customers, right? So their result statement may be something to the effect of to provide the customer with excellent service so they feel excited about the opportunity for us to come help solve their problem. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just,
it's that, it's a little couple sentences, maybe a small paragraph that just lets the employee know why what they're doing is important.
It's their elevator
pitch.
Why
it's important. Yeah. To do a great job because it affects the company. Okay, you're also going to list out each task. So again, this sounds job description-y. However, the difference is not only are you going to list out the task, but you're also going to include when it's going to be done, that whether or not it's something that is repetitive. So do you put down the frequency, or maybe it's, you know, maybe it's not necessarily scheduled, but when something happens, like, you know, when a new order comes in, get it entered, that kind of thing. So you're going to list out the what it is and the when or the frequency. And you're also going to include two other parts that a lot of times are not in a job description. One of them is what we call company-wide standards. This is a place for you to the standards that go along with every single position, regardless of where they are in the company. Things that across the board we all follow because we're a team. Maybe it's things like answer the phone within 2 rings, return voicemails within 1 business day.
Be respectful to other team members and customers. Be
respectful of other team members' time.
Yeah.
So don't come chitty-chatty in the office for an hour because I don't have time for that. So it's going to be those things that clean up after yourself. Be respectful of the property. The things that go along company-wide. And then the last place is just a place for you as the employer and the employee to sign. Hey, I acknowledge, I want to do it. I'm excited. I'm committed. Let's go. And it gives them that place to sign and you to sign. And really it turns into something that you can put in their HR file.
So let's talk a little bit about, okay, and we've gone, I know we're gone deep into this a little bit, but there's so many wins that happens by having this team member commitment, right? Training becomes easier. Holding people accountable becomes so much easier. I mean, there's so many things that make this just easier.
Yeah, these are all active documents. Everything that we're talking about that we're encouraging you to create, they're all active documents in the company. It's not something that you write and you stick in a desk drawer and you never look at it again. These team member commitments, they can be reviewed on a very regular basis. They're a great training tool. If you have somebody new and you've got 15 things on their team member commitment, and maybe you're starting, okay, I see that you have 15 things on your team member commitment. Let's focus on the first 3. Cool. Once you have the first 3 done, let's look at the next 3. And you can kind of teach in chunks. Point is that it's not something that you write once, you sign, you stick in an HR file, and you never look at it again.
So I want to share this story. So when we started doing this, it was a pain point for me because people would come to me and say things like, I don't know whose job that is, or I don't know who does that. And once we kind of got all this dialed in, I went and put it on everybody's door. And I said, here's the deal. If you've gone through all these team member commitments and you still don't know who does the job, come find me. Because then I need to update it to where somebody is responsible. Because if no one's responsible for it, then me as the owner, I'm responsible now for it. Boy, my questions, they went way down after that because
definitely
I put the accountability on them, right? They had to go find out who did it. So here's a question, right? Does my company need one?
Absolutely.
So let's think about this. If I had, what size do I need to be to start writing these as a company?
You can start writing these when you have 1 employee. And if you have more than 1 employee currently, you should start writing them now.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a certain size in order to make these team member commitments. Once you start having another person in your company that you have to communicate with and that you have to rely on to do certain functions of the business, that's when you have to start getting clear on, who's going to do what are these roles? And that way, you don't have 2 people working on the same project or no people working on a project.
No people, which is typically if 2 people have a responsibility to do a task, nobody does it.
Nobody does it.
That's how it works. Team member commitment, it is the foundation.
Yep.
It's fantastic. Love it. Love it. So I hope we got everybody still here on the line and that you guys are taking good notes. We're going to jump into step 4.
Yep. So
this is your favorite one.
I know. I love this part.
I know.
It's crazy that I love it, but whatever. We all have our strengths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So step 4 is going to be systems. Systems, also known as SOPs, I guess you could say. Systems are a crucial part of your business. And some of the questions that come around that surround systems in general are, what are they? Why are they important? What impact will it make on my business? Where do I even start? And is this something I can do myself?
That's a question that we get a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit here in a minute.
Yeah. So starting off with, what is a system? A system is how we want everything done. So in the team member commitment, we talked about the what we want it done and when. The system is how we want it done. It is going to be your step-by-step on how it is that we're going to do the tasks that we put on our team member commitment. And the why is it important? Your main thing that you're going to get out of having these systems is consistency.
Yeah.
And consistency is huge. If you want it done the same way every time, you have to have a system for it. There's absolutely no question about it. McDonald's is a great example.
Oh, McDonald's is the example. Those guys, they set the standard for systemization. And whether you eat their food, don't like their food, whatever, you cannot argue with the way they have their systems written so tight that a 16-year-old can run a multi-million-dollar store. Mm-hmm. Everything in that thing is written and documented, and it is just it's amazing.
Well, and that's what allows you to go to McDonald's in Pensacola and McDonald's in Japan and get the exact same Big Mac.
Exact same. Consistency, right? Why is it important? Consistency. They've got the what figured out. It's the how they want it done. I mean, it's such an amazing thing. So what does that mean to your business once you get it systematized?
Well, I mean, think of the freedom that you're going to have, the time freedom alone. Think about if you're not having to retrain every single time somebody does something, or you're not having to clean up the mess because somebody didn't do a particular task correctly. So it's going to impact your business in multiple ways, but mostly it's going to be a sense of freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I can tell you that was just one of those things where it just helped us separate from the business, because as new employees came in, training became very, very easy.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Yeah. And the other thing that it's going to do too is I have seen in multiple occasions where businesses are being held hostage by one employee who knows how to do a whole lot of things that nobody else knows how to do. And maybe they're ready for that team member to get off the bus, but they're terrified to fire them because they know so much that they would be caught in a lurch if they didn't have that person.
Yep. So-and-so does 9 things. What do they do? I'm not sure, but they do a lot.
So, so one of the questions, systems feels like a very daunting process. It can be. There can be a lot of systems in a business depending on how intricate it is. So where do you even begin? 2 places. There's 2 places you can begin. You can either take your team member commitment and make a system for every task on your team member commitments, or if you're in crisis mode in your business, you would identify the major frustration and you would write a system to provide immediate relief, kind of like first aid care almost, if you're thinking about, from that standpoint.
I remember the very first system that I wrote, and it was a Monday morning. I walked into the office and it was 65 degrees in the wintertime in the office. And I remember walking in and just ready to lose it.
65 in the summer? 65 in the summer.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And I was ready to absolutely lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I realized was, okay, well, great. Who am I going to yell at? That was my first thing. Like, who am I going to yell at? There was no system. So right then and there, because I always kept a notebook, I wrote down frustrations, and that's how we started writing systems. But when I sat down, I went, okay, cool. Who does that? That was a toughie, right? I go, everybody does. I mean, you just walk by, you just do it. Again, 2 people have the same responsibility. Nobody does it.
Well, it wasn't even the responsibility. It was that feeling of, do these people not even think about what turning an air in the summertime does?
And the answer is no.
You could free a unit. You are using way more power than you need to. And it's like they don't even think about it. And maybe they don't. Cool. Let's fix that.
Right. Which turned into a office closing procedure. And then it was simple. I mean, how many times we come in the doors on? Like, make sure the doors on. Make sure the coffee pot's turned off so you don't burn the place to the ground.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about how you would write a system again.
So there's a few things that you definitely want to include in the system. This is a writer-downer.
So writer-downer.
Jotting this stuff down. You want to include the name of your system. you want to include the position that's responsible for executing the system. So going back to that, the closing system that you were just talking about, the office closing system, it became very easy when one person is responsible for that system. Say it's the person that was the last one in the building.
That's what it was.
Then they're responsible for that system. And if it's not done correctly, you know exactly who to go to be like, what up? We have a system for this. Why didn't you follow it? You're going to include why the system is important to the smooth running of the company. This is super important because there's a lot of times where employees will not put a whole lot of effort into something that you're asking them to do because they don't understand why it's important.
They just think it's just
because busy work.
Busy work.
It's you know why it's important. You know why it's vital. You have to share that with the employees so that they can understand why it's important too, and they can care a little bit more about what they're doing. You want to include step-by-step from beginning to end. This is a great place that you can use flowcharts, screenshots, pictures, even videos. I've had
videos are fantastic.
Who've done videos. We've actually done a couple of videos.
I did it for uniform because I got tired of talking to guys about what uniform looks like.
Right.
So again, I'll share this quick story. So one of the companies we owned had a lot of technicians, and my general manager at the time kept telling me, well, guys just won't wear uniforms, don't wear uniforms. I thought, that's crazy. Like, how hard is that? Like, if they're not doing that correctly, what else are they not doing right? So we bought a mannequin and we put it up and we set a mirror up and put a note above it that said, if you're not dressed, then you're not ready for work, go home, or something like that. So I ended up making a video that showed what not in uniform looked like. Mm-hmm. So I took the mannequin, he had his pants down, he had his hat on sideways, he had his shirt untucked, and it was a very funny video. But once we showed that and everybody got a big chuckle out of it, everyone was in uniform.
Right. It got the point across. It doesn't always have to be like, stomping on their heads, and it doesn't always have to be corporate. Like, it can be fun as long as you're getting the point across and you're getting the intended result. Have fun with it. We
did the same thing with boxes too, breaking down boxes.
Yeah.
Guys couldn't, in which I did that one like Dora.
Mm-hmm. Dora the Explorer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is this crushed box? No.
So the last thing that you want to do once you have written down, Manny.
Oh, Manny, yes.
Manny Quinn was the name of our.
Oh, yes, on here. Yes, it's on here too. Manny.
Okay, so the last thing that you want to do with your written system is you want to give it to somebody who doesn't typically do that task and have them follow it, and make sure that you get the intended result. If you got your intended result, you did good. If you didn't, you probably need to tweak your system just a little bit.
So now all that sounds really complicated though.
It's not complicated. It's a lot of work, but it's not overly complicated.
So I want to share this. So you see on here, is this something I can do myself? And the answer to that is absolutely 100%. The challenge that most entrepreneurs have is not overcomplicating the process. So here's what I wanted to share is we had our 7 and 9 year old, sorry. And one of our frustrations in the house was taking the trash out. Like it was a every other day, just pull our hair out about why is it so hard to take out the trash, right? And I know some of you guys are like, it's pretty hard for a 7-year-old, but high expectations, right? Be able to take out the trash. So, and there's a lot of similarities. And when I say this, I don't mean this to be disrespectful to employees or anything, but there is a lot of similarities between your kids and your employees.
Or parenting and running a business.
Okay. That's probably a nicer way to, that's why you do what you do. So and it's because typically they need crystal clear directions. And if you give them an inch, they're going to use their own discretion, which is typically not what it is that you want. Right. So you can see on the screen here, we made a trash system, right? So we gave them a report that when we go into a business, we give them this sheet and they fill out. So 7 and 9-year-old, and they filled it out, right? So the result, why do we take out the trash? So our house doesn't end up on hoarder's house. So
the kids filled this out.
Yes, the kids did this all by themselves.
Totally something that they did.
We don't want a stinky house. We don't want ants.
That's right.
So they knew the result, which means now they know if they don't take out the trash, what result they can expect. Then it was the when, like our where. Well, office, laundry room, Addie's room, and all bathrooms. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would ask them to take out the trash, and they would find one trash can.
One trash can.
Like, okay, guys, there's more than that.
Then the next part of the system was who? Well, Addie and Zach, right? They're the ones responsible for this task. We're not micromanaging it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get to be hands off, right? So then it got into more, okay, well, you tie the bag, take the trash can out, open the top, put the bag in, and then close the door, go into the kitchen, close the cabinet door, right?
Mm-hmm.
They spelled it out.
Mm-hmm. Make sure that you put the bag back in.
Yeah.
Make sure you're putting it in the right trash can, not the recycle bin, but the trash, and so on.
So this ended up being a cool exercise for the kids to do. And what happened for us is it created this buffer, this buffer between us and that task. So what would happen is if we would see the trash not done right, there wouldn't be this, oh my God, it was, hey guys, do me a favor, go pull out your system, run through it real quick and tell me what step you forgot.
Mm-hmm.
That took us maybe 3-4 times of doing. We've never, and this is years ago, we've never even had to talk about it anymore. They are crystal clear on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal clear.
Yep.
A lot of our clients use this with their children too. So. but it's cool. So it creates just this buffer between the getting frustrated and owning it and making them own it.
Right. It puts the accountability ball in their court.
Yeah. And that's just a magical place to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So one of the things that I remember thinking when we were all working on systems for our businesses, but one of the thoughts that struck me one day is, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm writing a system for everything. Do I need to write a system for taking out or not? What was it?
Toilet
Switching
paper.
out the toilet paper
Yeah.
roll. Like seriously, how detailed do I need to get here? And I was almost a little bit frustrated about it. And then it kind of struck me like, well, if there's a certain way that I want the toilet paper roll installed, up or down, then I need to make a system about it. Up, by the way. No,
Down.
actually down. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is that if you want something in your business done a certain way and you want it done a certain way every single time, then yes, you have to make a system for it.
Absolutely. If not, so a system creates the black and white, right? There's no gray area. It's not I almost got it done or I was 90%. It's either done correctly or it's not. So you can go in very quickly and see in the mornings if the closing procedure was done. It takes seconds. Yes, it was done. No, it was not.
And one more point that is so important that we forgot to mention is a lot of times we hear, oh, there's too many variables. I can't write a system for that. There's too many variables in that. Here's the deal, guys. Write your system for what will take care of it 80% of the time.
80%.
That's your rule. Your system needs to take care of 80%, and then the other 20% is an exception that can be dealt with separately.
Right. And imagine that, right? Like if 80% of the things in your company had a system, how much time does that free up for you?
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we've got our systems. That's going to be like all that support system of our house that we're building. And then we're going to move on now to this last and final step. This one's a quickie. We're going to pull it all together.
Let's do it. I'm excited.
So it might feel like we are jumping ahead of the game a little bit or putting the cart before the horse and when we're thinking about how to pull all this information together. But I want to share it with you because if you jump in and you start working on this stuff and you're creating these documents and you're getting organized within your business and you don't have a systematized, yes, that's my favorite word, you don't have a systematized way of organizing the information, then when you go to draw on it in the future, you may not be able to find it. You might be recreating it because you forgot you made it in the first place. You might not have a consistent way. So there might be one binder over here and there might be printed pages over here and some stuff might be on a cloud and some stuff might be on a server. So we want you to, from the very beginning, have a good plan on how you're going to store the information and where you're going to keep it. So where will the work live? Is it going to be printed out in binders? Is it going to be on a cloud? Is it going to be on a local server? Guys, when you're saving this stuff on your computer, make sure that you're using logical file names so that you can easily search it in the future if you need to.
I feel like you're talking directly to me.
I might be.
I tend to overcomplicate it because I'm an entrepreneur. So.
Who is going to be able to make changes once the stuff is complete, right? Things are going to need to be updated. So you don't want everybody to be able to make edits and changes to your policies, to your systems, to your team member commitments. So you need to designate who that person is going to be and then That's going to simplify the updating process. You also want to ensure that everybody has access to the most up-to-date information. So if it's a binder situation, the person who's making the updates then ought to be responsible for printing out the changes and making sure everybody's binder's updated. The other thing that you want to avoid is making sure that you don't have, let's say you keep it on the cloud, and fax cover sheet. This was one of the things that we used to get ourselves frustrated with when we faxed. This dates our business just a little bit, but we saved our fax cover sheet. Like I made one and it looked great. And then somebody else made their own.
Yep.
And then somebody else made their own. And then every fax that came out of our business looks different. So we want to just make sure that we're keeping that stuff consistent. So taking a little planning in advance helps with that. Okay. So you've got your vision, you've worked on all this stuff. What can you expect to see? What can you have now that you've put all this work into it?
Yeah, let's talk about cool stuff.
Yeah. Some of that feel good. What can you look forward to once it's all
absolutely
done? Okay. So you're gonna have a culture of self-starters. You're gonna have more productive and motivated employees. You're going to have less stress and they're going to have less stress.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be able to identify and eliminate underperformers, and you're going to be able to retain higher performers.
Which is the goal.
That's the goal.
Right.
So, but however, still, if you're struggling on how you can get those results by doing these steps, if we think about it from the employee's standpoint, you bring an employee on board, you share your vision with them. They know where the bus is going. They're excited about it. They can see basically into the future. You show them the team member map. Here, Johnny, this is where you are on the team member map. Here are all the other positions on the team member map.
Yeah.
You're not stuck here forever if you don't want to be. Here's your team member commitment. Here's exactly what and when we want you to do the tasks of your position.
And now Johnny knows what a good job looks like.
Now he knows what a good job looks like. He knows how he fits into the rest of the team and how he benefits the rest of the company. You're also going to show him his systems. Johnny, in order to do all the things on your team member commitment, here are all the written systems that you need in order to be able to make it happen exactly the way we want it done. And you're going to provide the place where he can always have access to the updated information, and he can get to that information when he needs to. Say he forgot how to take out the trash. He knows where he can go to find the system to remember how to take out the trash.
Or break down a box. So, there's so many of this that I think about, the little things as we got kind of dialed in on all this stuff, all the little things that tended to start to work themselves out and that I didn't have to deal with any longer. Because it is nice to be able to say, hey man, Johnny, here you go. And for most companies, they don't know what, I mean, for most employees, go ask your employees. If you're not sure, go ask your employees, what does a good job look like?
Oh, well, I get to work, may or may not be on time.
I showed up.
I may or may not be sober. Okay, so the end result of pulling this all together and showing your employees and your team member kind of how they fit in and getting them motivated about their job. You're going to have a complete playbook for every position. That team member commitment and the systems that go with it now turns into a training manual. Your team is going to understand the expectations of what a good job looks like. You're going to be able to self-remove those underperforming employees. Those underperforming employees are going to be able to look at the vision. They're going to look at the map. They're going to look at their team member commitment. They're going to look at what it takes in order to complete that job, and they're going to let you know whether or not they're up for it.
They made a commitment to be a part of the team. They'll make a commitment to leave.
Right. Yep. Because once you build this framework around for them, then they understand how their inability to do their job or perform affects other people. And again, nobody wants to be that, for the most part, nobody wants to be that guy that, creates more work for other people because they can't do their job. Yeah, it shows them, who they're going to report to, how you can help grow and cultivate your employees. Because here's the deal, guys. People don't wake up in the morning and say, how can I do the worst possible job today? A lot of times
don't say that on the internet, though.
I know. A lot of times what happens is they want to do a good job, and they either don't know how or they think they're doing a fine job because nobody has really said, hey, that's not exactly how we want it done here. Let me show you the right way.
I've talked to people that have worked for companies before, and they'll say, I worked for so-and-so and I got fired. And I said, okay, well, did you know that was coming? I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I just got fired. Well, I got to be honest with you. That's a leadership issue.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not a employee issue. That is a leadership issue, and that will never happen with these things in place. It won't happen. So okay. Quick question for you, so on the complete playbook for every position, right? So I have a handbook.
Okay, so this is different than a handbook. A handbook is going to be HR related, and if you work with a payroll company or a PEO, it's going to be something that likely comes from their HR department, and it's going to cover things like what days do you have off? Like what days do you pay for holiday? Or how does the PTO system work? Or where do I go to get my benefits? It's going to be things like that. It's going to include your drug policy, sexual harassment policy. It's going to include your right to hire and non-discrimination,
mumbo
like
jumbo.
all that kind of stuff. Super important. Yes, you still have to have that for your company. But that's not what we're creating here. We're creating the operations side of how to do the business. And that is important, but that is different than what this is.
Gotcha. Like it. So with all of that, what do we have now?
Well, we've put all this work into building our house. After you do that, all you have to do is maintain it. You've built it once. You've done all the work once. Now, just like building a house, it takes a lot of effort to build it all. But now it's there and it's standing, and all you have to do every now and then is maybe do some touch up, maybe do a little paint, maybe a couple repairs here and there.
You got to cut the grass,
right? But you've done the hard work of creating the house. You just have to maintain it. So the same is with all of this. You've put all of your work into everything that we've talked about today, and after that, you're just maintaining it. You're not recreating the wheel every time.
Right. So here we go. Let's talk about this. Was that a lot of information? I mean,
fire hose much?
I know. And again, we're trying to cover a tremendous amount of content in a very short period of time. But we do want you guys to be able to make sure that you can take this back and implement it into your business, right? So some results that you can see from this. Again, I know we've talked a little bit about it, but less repeating. Mm-hmm. Like that whole Groundhog Day effect, less repeating, less stress.
For you and your employees.
More confidence in your employees. How great would that be? Mm-hmm. Hey, I know Johnny's going to do a good job. I don't have to worry about him. I don't have to call him every 5 minutes, right? So here's the deal. So I've got a question for you. Do you see how implementing these 5 steps could impact your business? Can you see how it would help you create clarity and freedom? If you were to implement these, how would it help you grow?
That's a good one.
So a lot of times when I work with clients, this is one of my favorite questions to ask them, which is, what's the cost of not taking action?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes somebody might be hesitant to make a change or make an improvement on their business because they don't feel like it's quite painful enough. And sometimes if you just throw a couple of numbers into the problem, you can see, what is it really costing in order to not do anything?
So because you have an accounting background, let's do some math.
I like math. Okay. So by implementing all the things that we've talked about today, we can expect to see an average of, 10 hours a week per employee.
I would say 10 to 15, but we'll go with 10. It's conservative.
We'll do the conservative side. So you've got an employee and you're freeing up 10 hours of their time. Just by now they know exactly what they're supposed to do. There's no fumbling around or whatever. Let's say on average, they make $15 an hour. That's about $150 a week.
Well, and that's just their pay. That's not taxes, insurance, all that mumbo jumbo that comes with it. Right.
Okay. So let's say you have 5 employees and you're able to do that for all 5 of your employees. Well, that multiplies very quickly. That goes $750 a week, $3,000 a month, $36,000 a year that you could be potentially losing in productivity or gaining in productivity by implementing these steps that we talked about.
What about sanity?
Sanity is priceless.
So, and that's the other part is sanity. So again, I know we've hit you guys with a fire hose. So here's the deal. You have 2 choices. You can do it on your own, or we can all do it together. And again, Everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. I think that we've given you enough tools to be able to get started. But again, we are coaches, we are trainers. This is what we do. So everyone likes help in different ways. So here's the thing. If you're one of those that would like additional help, here's what we got going on. We got a masterclass starting soon. So I'll let you, because you're really the host, the MC of that training class. So what are some things that they can expect in that masterclass?
Well, we understand that that this is a big and daunting project for business owners, and we don't want you to have to do it alone if you don't want to. So we've created this class to dive deep and unpack all of the topics that we've talked about in this webinar in an amazing virtual boot camp. So we would be meeting virtually. I would facilitate the classes live. So basically what we would do is we'd have 6 online live training classes, about an hour or so a piece. We would dive into all of the topics that we talked today and really make sure that we can get it completed and implemented within your business. The class is going to give you worksheets, guides, tools, forms, all different things that you can use to help speed up that process. So you're not having to totally recreate the wheel for all this stuff. We're going to have a closed Facebook group for all of the participants so that we can keep the conversation going in between calls. I'm going to be facilitating it. I'm a business coach. I've worked with a lot of businesses. I've done these processes over and over and over again. So you'll be able to have access to me throughout the entire time in order to get them implemented in your business. And you're going to have unlimited email support between yourself and myself in order to make sure that we can get all of your questions answered when you need them to be answered.
So can I throw this out real quick? So another benefit to this too is it's not going to be a webinar type format like this. Correct. It'll be video. You don't have to be on video if you don't want to, if you're not comfortable, but it'll be a platform where there will be open conversations happening. So it's not a webinar style. It's more classroom style. It's just done virtually. And I think that's cool, because then when you're hung up with a question, you're not having to email somebody and wait. You're right then and there asking the question, how do I fix this problem? And boom, you've got it. Yeah. You've got it right there.
Yeah, so it opens up that two-way communication.
Right.
So other benefits of this class is we're going to record them so that you can go back and re-listen. There's a lot of information that comes with these classes, and sometimes it's nice to be able to go back and kind of re-listen and refresh. We are keeping the class size very small. I want to be able to make sure that I can give everybody the help that they need, and I want to keep the class size small so that I'm able to do that. Companies that implement these steps that we've talked about today see dramatic results in their lives and their business. I've seen it countless times over and over again. You'll have the ability to attend from anywhere. That's why we're doing it virtually instead of at a physical location. So if you're traveling, or if you're at the home that day or the office that day or whatever, you can attend from wherever you are. You can learn on your schedule. So here's the deal. I really want you to be present during the actual online class, but I understand that life happens and there might be a class that you have to miss for whatever reason. So you can go back and rewatch the recorded version of it.
And however, you still have email.
Yes, 100%.
And the Facebook group.
Yeah, you still have all of that to help you out. I do highly encourage you to attend though, because it makes for great conversation within the group, and the question and answers, you can take advantage of that as well. And of course, we're doing live Q&A throughout. So like Justin was saying, we have that open two-way communication throughout the classes.
So a couple things. When you implement these solutions, you'll enjoy these results, right? A renewed culture of self-starters, more motivated and productive team. Manage your team with ease. Less headache and less stress. Higher retention of good team members. Identify and eliminate underperforming teams. So we have done this class in the past, so, got to throw a couple testimonials out there. So we've had some people. So James said he's worked with Chris and I for many years in the business and really helped him understand that back to basics is super important. Little side note, James actually owns a very, very, very large company and has a full executive team, and he still does this class to kind of get back to basics, which is really cool. Steve said this course is worth 10 times what he paid for it. He'll take this course every year. P.S. Don't raise the price. Okay. So you really don't want to miss this. Again, if you're one that is looking for someone to help walk and guide you through this process, Again, that's what Kristen does. That's what we do. We're here. We're passionate about helping. So let's get to what the class looks like. So in the past, we have done this class and we have sold it for $1,998. Now, because you're on the webinar, here's the deal. You're not going to pay $1,998. Now, the class is going to be smaller than we've ever done it too. So there's a little bit of cool stuff that comes with it, right? So also, for taking advantage of this, we're going to have a couple of additional bonuses that are going to go with it. First is a 30-minute strategy session with Kristen, right? So you go through the course. When the course is over, you get to connect and really dive deep into what you've got going on. We're going to give you a 6 ways to jumpstart your business growth today, which is a kind of an ebook that we created a couple of years ago, and we normally sell that as a one-off. We're going to do a 4-pay option. Here's why. We do not want the financial side of it to stop you from improving your business, right? No interest. And that took a lot of convincing of my wife, the accountant.
Maybe.
So huge price discount for being on the webinar, additional 30 minutes. So not only are you going to get one 30-minute strategy session, you're actually going to get 2. Now, let's talk about guarantee. I think you take guarantee because you're key. Well, I'm going to take the first one.
Okay.
30-day money-back guarantee. Here's the thing. Guys, sometimes you know that there's something you need to do and there's something that you want to do, but you're not ready to take the action to actually do it, right? And that's okay. So if you're all like, yes, I'm ready to tackle this, and you jump in and class starts and you're like, you know what, I don't think I have the capacity for it. Cool. Send me an email. No questions asked. I'm not going to hoard you. You tell me, you get your money back. No questions asked. So what are some other guarantees that are going to happen in this course?
Well, you're going to leave the course with a written vision statement. You're going to have a documented team member map. You're going to have some of your team member commitments, hopefully all of them, but you'll at least have some of your team member commitments done and some of your systems written, so that even if you're not able to complete them all during the time that we have allotted, you can walk away with excellent examples and templates and things that you can finish it out once the class is over. Yeah, team, that's fantastic. So I want to share another testimonial. Actually, this one we just got on March 21st. And I'm going to share one section. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Implemented the tactics Justin and Kristen laid out for us. Saw a 75% increase in our online sales and 100% on our internet traffic for the week. I mean, that's fantastic. A couple more testimonials. I won't dig into that. Again, here's the offer, guys. $499. 6-week group coaching, $499. And again, that is going to be. So what we'll do is we'll pop this here on the side here. So on the offer, I'll put it on here. So if you look over to the right, give me a second. I'm having some technical issues here. So if you look over to the right, you will see all you got to do is click the link to register and get started. So again, I'm going to go through this 30-minute strategy session, 6 ways to jumpstart your business, lifetime access to the content, 4-pay option. That's $125. Mm-hmm.
$125 a month over 4 months to get this information. I think it's a no-brainer, right? Huge discount for being here and an additional 30-minute one-on-one strategy. So that's an hour of strategy sessions. You're nice. So again, I won't go through the whole guarantee, but you do get a 30-day money-back guarantee and all these other benefits that come with it. And again, all that for $499. All you got to do to register. I love getting questions. I love all of that. So let's talk about it. So who's got some questions?
If you got any questions, pop them up in the box right there so that we can see.
There we go. Oh, already got our first question. Can I get a copy of the trash system? Love it. Absolutely. You can have it. I would say email you.
Yeah, you can email me. It's Kristen, Kristen, at gcbcoaching.com.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny that we did it, but it was just such a proof of concept to us of how it changed our lives when we started implementing those same strategies throughout our business as a whole, right? See, I only have one other employee. Do I need this now or wait until I'm larger? I know we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, but what's the Cliff Note version?
Yes.
There's your cliff note.
Yes, yes, yes. It's definitely much easier to get started on that stuff now as you're small. If you only have 1 or 2 employees, it's so much easier to get started on it now than it is to wait until you're in a whirlwind and becomes crisis mode. So yes, if you're small, do it. Absolutely.
Well, and it's so as an entrepreneur, when you start a business, really, you should do all this before you start, right? In a perfect world. But as entrepreneurs, normally it's go. That's your proof of concept, and then you work backwards. So if you have 1 employee and you're on this webinar, or even 2 employees, you're ahead of the game. And in my opinion, you're ahead of the game. Now you start building what your company is going to look like in the next 3, 5, 7, 10 years. That's bad to the bone, right? Here's a good question. Can't you just do it for me? How's that?
Well, no. So we can set you up so that you have all the tools that you need, but we want this to be yours. We want it to be your vision. We want it to be your team member map. So we are going to show you exactly how to do it. We're going to provide tools to make it easy, but at the end of the day, it needs to have your stamp on it. And if we were just to come in and write it all for you and hand it to you in a nice little book, you would not find the value in it.
Well, anytime we're asked this question, here's what my mind goes to. There are so many people out there that buy franchises, right? And they get these books and these manuals and all these things, and they're drop shipped to their office, and they open it up and they're like, oh my gosh, look at these 8,000 pages. None of them are theirs.
Right.
So to answer the question, no, we can't do it for you, but yes, we can do it with you. And I think that's more valuable, because once you know your opening procedure for your office and your closing, you own it.
Right.
And then now you can go teach it.
Well, you're vested in it.
Right.
You have more heart in it because it's your work.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, guys, if you're interested in registering, you should see it on the right. Masterclass, good looking guy in a red jacket and a beautiful lady next to me. Click go registration page. Let's see. We got another. If I have a handbook, do I need this? Which again, we kind of answered that, but
yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yes, yes, the handbook and this is going to be totally different. Your handbook is going to be HR related things, and this is going to be operational. So I would say that you need both 100%.
Yeah, yes, the purpose that the 2 of them fulfill is different.
It's there, right?
So yeah, you have to have it. All right. Let's see here. Here's a good one. How much time do I need to commit to this?
Well, we definitely, if you're doing the class, you're going to commit the time to the class, but then you would want to be able to commit some time outside of the class in order to do the work that you're learning within. So my short answer would be you're going to want to put as much time into it as you can. And I will also say that as you start getting your systems implemented, you'll notice that more time is free. And so therefore you'll be able to put a little bit more time in. And I will also say that obviously the more time you can afford to put in now, the faster you can get it done. And
it doesn't all have to be you.
Oh,
and I know you talk about this in the class, but it doesn't have to be you. You don't have to be the one to sit down and write every system. Kristen's going to teach you how to have your team members write it. So I know a lot of times when we start working with owners on getting these systems written, they'll tend to get all excited and they'll go to their employee and go, here, write down your job, exactly what you do and what happens.
Oh my gosh, they get freaked out.
Panic, right? Oh my God, I'm getting fired. No, right? So you got to handle that with kid gloves. And again, Kristen goes over that in the class. So we're going to take one more question. We've been on a little bit longer than we expected, but truth is we love this. We love what we're doing. So let's see here. Last question here. Oh, how long are the classes?
So the classes are going to last about an hour, and we're going to separate them by every other week so that we make sure that you guys have enough time to be able to really make some forward progress in between the calls. I don't want to stack the information on so fast that you're not able to get any of it completed or implemented. So that's why we're spacing them out every other week instead of every single week. To
give you time in order to not just learn it, but then absorb it and then practice it and teach it and train it to your team and that kind of stuff. So again, guys, over to the right, you should see a registration page. Jump over there, click on the link. Chris Giss, love your comment. I'm glad it's private, but you need to go over there and click on the link. And I expect to see you in that class. Caleb, you too. So let's see. All right, cool. We got people jumping over there. All right, we got some people registering. I don't know if you have any more questions or not. If you do, type them in the box, but I think we probably need to go.
Yeah.
We've been on way longer than we expected. Listen, guys, we appreciate everyone's time. Time is one of those things. You can't make more of it. You make more money, you can't make more time. And all you've got is the 24 hours in a day. And we really, really genuinely appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And I hope that we were able to bring you guys some value, because that is what we are passionate about doing, and it is what we do. So I hope that you guys are able to take some of these things and run with them. And I hope to see many of you guys over in the class to join us for this class. So again, Kristen, you got any last minute comments before we roll out of here?
No, I do not. I think we covered a lot of ground today.
We did. It is definitely a fire hose learning experience. So again, guys, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out, but I hope to see every single one of you guys in the class.